Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
It's all been I never feel like I'm listening to something until I do. It's true.
It's my favorite of the angry languages.
Yeah, what are some of your other favorites?
Russian. Russian's pretty angry.
Alright, you ready to go ahead and get into this?
I am.
Alright, hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Partu. Joining me today is...
Steve Baxi.
Yeah, I know that guy.
I do too. He lives in my house.
Really, sounds like a moocher.
Yeah, a little bit. He's always there drinking all our Cokes and coffee. It's awful.
Yeah. Alright, so Steve, what are we here to do today?
Today we are talking about your favorite half of the AVP dichotomy, the Predator.
Is it your favorite half too?
By default, I guess, because there's more good movies.
Well, I've said this before. Good is not a ratio, but
It's true.
fair enough.
Okay, to be honest, here's the thing. I like Alien when it's actually Alien like the first couple movies, where it's like a literal penis monster attacking concepts of femininity. The more and more away it's gotten from that, the less I give a shit.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyway, so yeah, but we're not here to talk about aliens tonight. We're here to talk about Predator, the species of the Yautja. And I think I'm pronouncing that right. And so yeah, I am more of a Predator fan. Like, Alien's just been it was too high concept for me as a kid. And so now I can watch the first two movies. I'm like, yeah, these are good. Like, on a very, this is good filmmaking. This is done well. But I'm still never that interested in Alien. Whereas Predator, like, it's just cool and scary and badass when you're a kid. And then when you get older, it's still cool and kind of freaky and badass. So
Yeah.
Predator is not a better franchise, but it is a more consistent franchise than Alien.
That's definitely true.
Yeah. So I don't think there's a bad Predator movie except for AVPR. Like, even AVP is dumb popcorn entertainment. So I blame the aliens for bringing their badness into the Predator franchise.
Alien just had like this really steep decline, and Predator could not get away from it. The one thing the Predator cannot hunt is a downward spiral.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, we're going to talk about the Yautja as a species and just little things we find interesting about them, what drives them, whatnot. So, I guess a good place to start is, Steve, what is your favorite version of the Predator? Like, which Predator or which preferred version of the Predator did you go to?
I don't know if I have like a preferred version necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Because so here's the thing. As far as Alien and Predator both goes, I know there are novels and there are comics and there are video games, but my only knowledge of them are the movies. And so because of that, like, I have so much more of a bare bones knowledge of what the Predators actually are. So if we're going with just that, I kind of just want to go back to the original Predator in the first movie, because there's something like very primal, very toxically masculine about that whole initial setup, where like the drive to hunt is there, why it's there isn't necessarily answered. The way they pull their gadgets out and start murdering people, it's all kind of very random, but it's also very much like ingrained in American hunting culture. And so like as the mythology starts to warp outwards and get more interesting, kind of like John Wick, the more I just go back and think it was cooler when I knew less.
See, I don't know, man. I really like Predator 2, where we expand so much mainly through visual storytelling.
Yeah.
I really, really love Predator 2. Like, I don't know why, but apparently people consider it to be a bad movie.
I mean, it's not amazing, but I like it.
Yeah, it's a really cool, high testosterone action movie, but it uses that testosterone and stuff to kind of comment on the absurdity of everything.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. I really like the second Predator. I guess I just have a thing for Predator in the jungle or in the city as because my favorite version, my favorite Predator is Scarface from Predator Concrete Jungle, and I always bring this up as a little factoid, which was a game written by Grant Morrison.
Because that's just so fucking bizarre.
Isn't it? And like, dude, you should either play or sit down. There's like a version, like a 4-hour cut where they use as little gameplay as possible to give you the full story of the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the story of that game is told through the stuff you're doing. But you should sit down and watch that, because it's interesting.
I watched parts of your gameplay, but some of it got cut, so...
Yeah, which was unfortunate. But it is just a really fascinating story, and like I love just how dickish the Predators are consistently. They're just like, I use this comparison a lot, and I think it is the most apt. The Predators are total dude bros.
Yep.
They are like absolutely the epitome of frat bros, to the point where like when they do their fucking voice recording thing, it's seriously just Steve, give me like a general complaint about toxic masculinity that's like 2 or like 5 words. Give me a complaint about toxic masculinity that's 5 words.
Cars too big for parking spaces.
Yeah, my car's too big for parking spaces. That's what a Predator does. That's what the voice thing is. It's that voice. That is exactly what that move is, and it's such a dick move, but it is inherently like the most aggravating thing, where they're just doing it to rub in the fact that they're bigger and stronger than you. And I love that about them. It's just so aggravating. And so like that's just I really find that whole side of them very, very fascinating and kind of hilarious in its own interesting way. I did a series of images that I posted to Twitter and my DeviantArt of just the Predators saying dude bro things.
I remember that.
Come at me, bro!
I'm sure the Predators are real fans of protein shakes.
Oh, totally. Like, I don't know. Then there's just some, like, we do a smart thing with them where, yes, people, like, explain what they're doing and everything, but you can get a lot of what's going on with those characters in the movies from just visual storytelling. And that's really cool. Like, there's so much, in like the first Predator movie where he just, you know, is using the med kit, and you're just seeing it happen. It's not like someone's going, oh, it's a med kit. You just see it happen, and it just gives you a level of understanding about how advanced their technology is and stuff like that.
The Predator, just as let's say for the sake of argument, as a movie monster, is legitimately interesting in just how much of you see of them and how much they're physically able to move and do things. Mm-hmm. Like most of these kinds of costumes and designs and animatronics are, at that time, harder to pull off, so you see less of it, or you do like a little bit at a time, even with the alien suit.
Yep.
But with the Predator, from the very beginning, it was about being able to see it and be frightened by it and like see the practicality of like the hunting accoutrements and all that. You know about the Jean-Claude Van Damme thing, right?
Yeah, God, that.
Yeah, okay. So in case for people who don't know, Jean-Claude Van Damme was originally gonna play the Predator, and the whole notion of it was that they'd hire a martial artist to play this monster that hunts things, so that his like reflexes and agility and such could add something more natural and threatening to the monster. but Jean-Claude Van Damme's a dick, so that didn't work out. And instead, they just got someone else to be inside the suit, and it still worked probably better.
Yeah, and it would have been interesting to see him come back to the franchise at some point, wouldn't it? Just, if nothing else, as a cameo, right?
I mean, I dig that. His obsession with making everything kickbox would not be interesting, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just as a cameo, maybe in the Shane Black movie, for sure.
Well, like, what if he was just like a kickboxing coach or something, and the Predator just killed him as a practice trophy or something like that?
That'd be hysterical, and it would be insulting to his legacy, and I would love it. I don't like Jean-Claude Van Damme.
No one does.
Yeah,
they just like that he can do the splits.
Hard Target is not that bad of a movie, but besides that,
no, but you just see a lot with the Predators. Like, I love the Danny Glover scene where he kills the Predator on the ship, and then all the other ones appear, and like any other horror movie, that character's dead.
Yeah.
But then you just get that quick little moment where Danny Glover just gets a gun. And that was so cool, because it's like, it just has this really neat sense to it where there's this, like, quote-unquote honor system, but it's just so absurd, because he just went through hell and back dealing with this thing, and he didn't want a prize at the end of it. He just wanted it out of his city.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting that so much of the alien culture is built on this weird rite of passage to hunt things so that they can perpetually hunt things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a really bizarrely counterproductive culture where if the whole purpose of you is the thrill of the hunt, and your rite of passage is like hunting something like an alien, which is a nearly an impossible hunt, then you're kind of just setting yourself up to be let down and hunt constantly for no real gain other than to say you did it. And that's kind of interesting.
I mean, they're trophy collectors, so it is all about just the pride and the quote-unquote honor. I look at them, and I like to think that they've been using this technology, obviously, for hundreds of years, but I like to think that they didn't invent it. Yeah. I like to think that, like, some other race that's long been forgotten, came across the Yautja planet and then got hunted. And they took and adapted that technology. Like, I don't like I love the idea that the Predators are still very much in clans and to one degree or another somewhat nomadic. And so I really, really like the idea that they never really evolved a proper society.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just with the fact that they are quite literally predators. We see them just eat meat. I'm pretty sure, I'm sure the comics do, because it's comics, there's always something to contradict. But I like the idea that they are a alpha predator that has gained sentience and now goes around the galaxy and just does what that species does. That they were never able to develop a proper functioning society across a big tent society, I guess you could call it. There are clans, there are tribes, but there are not nations in the Yautja world. It's the way I like to think of it.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of interesting to see them, especially try to interact with something like the alien, where, the alien is completely unreasonable. It doesn't think or do anything really except devour. Mm-hmm. And the Predator's whole thing is kind of the same, except they're going to reason it out and say it's because of some weird abstract value they're attaching to their senseless violence.
Yeah.
It just makes them a really good match that I don't think anyone really bothered to think about when they were making those movies.
Oh, certainly. It's funny because the guy that did one of the first the first AVP comic, did the screen... I always fucking forget the name of this. Where you draw out the scenes that they will eventually shoot. Screen shots? No. I always fuck up the name of this, Steve. What's it called when you draw out images of what will eventually be shot, so you can get an
Storyboard?
idea. Thank you. God, why do I always fuck that up? No, the guy that did the original AVP comic did the storyboarding for that movie, and so a lot of his shots from the original comic are directly recreated in the movie. And honestly, it's the best stuff of the movie. So you had someone there who was involved with actually thinking it out, and then you had people who just weren't. And so you get this weird little mixed bag. But yeah, I agree with that. I like the idea that the predators keep hunting humans well beyond the time that they should be. Like, because there's, you get all these references to the fact that these guys live for like hundreds of years. So they still think it's like they still think of humans like this, little lowly prey species as humans get more and more advanced. And so now it's just becoming like they're harder targets, and there's no question of ethics here, which is really fascinating.
Well, particularly when because so much of the predator design and tools and stuff goes back to like more primitive Earth cultures like Aztecs and things like that. So it'd be kind of interesting to parallel more of that and be like the predators take less sophisticated weaponry and still kill the fuck out of humans despite all of their guns.
There was a fan film. It was like, I think the second fan film Rasco and I reviewed. It's called Predator Dark Ages. And it's literally the Predator in the Dark Ages. And I want that to be a thing. I would totally watch a period piece Predator movie.
That'd be badass. I'd love that.
Yeah, and see what level of tech they use there. Because I like the idea of, doing the forgive the term, but it's what it's called. I like the idea of handicapping themselves in the hunt. That is just inherently fascinating. Would they use the stealth tech at that point? Or would they even have the stealth tech? Kind
of notion of like you mentioned before of they have to be fair on some level. Mm-hmm. So the weaponry they're going to use is going to be of the level of the people they're hunting, just perhaps more fitted to their skills as opposed to the human skills.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting. I love when we get to see a predator square off with somebody. That is always the coolest thing. Because they do this thing where they find the most macho, manliest guy, and then they hunt them for a while, and eventually, if they've proven to be worthy enough prey, then they'll do a square-off match, where it's actually, one-on-one fight like that.
Yeah.
And that is always so fucking cool to see. I love it in Predators, and Predators has the worst of this, where they are just absolute stinking cowards and they cheat. but I love that scene in Predators where the Yakuza guy turns around with the sword and decides to fight him, and we get this great tribute to classic samurai movies. It's so cool.
I kind of dig that, because when you mentioned period piece Predator film, my first thought was how would a Predator deal with samurai?
Certainly, that could be really interesting. I'd love to see Predator with samurai. I'd love to see Predator with the ancient Greeks, because they had a whole thing. It needs to be either something with an intense honor system or something with intense masculinity connected to the culture. Is what I would want to see with
and
historical
particularly
Predator movie.
something, particularly in a culture that's more about the physical, where like for example Egyptian culture or Japanese culture, where you don't have to talk necessarily, or we use dialogue very minimalistically in their art in order to show things that are important. So a lot of Japanese samurai films have very little dialogue because it's all about the body language, it's all about the movement, and using that kind of style for a Predator movie sounds perfect.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. And just any the only reason I say Greek is because of the intense masculinity of Greek culture.
Yeah.
Where women were a birth defect. Quote Aristotle, inventor of logic.
Aristotle's got a whole thing in Poetics where he's like, you want to write a story about a noble man or perhaps an ignoble man. You can maybe write a story about women, but you have to compensate for their natural inferior intellect.
Yeah. No, but like that would be interesting to pair the Greeks off with that. It's one of the things I like the most about AVP. Say what you will about it, but I thought it was a really cool idea to have a woman be the equal of the Predator in that film. Especially because, like, Alien has its whole thing of, you know, masculinity versus femininity. And so I thought that was the perfect place to blend them. It just wasn't done particularly well.
I mean, again, I have no problems with aliens and predators in concept forming a story. It's just the 2 times we did it on film, we did it poorly.
Right.
Which is ridiculous, because you'd think all that would happen is you'd get like a Freddy versus Jason style action movie, and we didn't even get that.
I'd say we got some of that in the first movie. And
yeah, by the end.
Yeah, and then there was the shit with the pyramids in Antarctica, and it was
They
like,
tried to mythology build too hard. And it didn't.
Yeah, pretty much. Oof, AVP. And then I can't even tell you how I feel about AVPR. I still need to, like, physically see it. I've sat down and I've watched the movie, but I didn't see any of it, so...
One of these days, I'm going to track down a better version of that movie with more contrast, more brightness.
Yeah, I mean, last time I watched it, I bumped up the brightness and contrast on the television, and it actually improved the movie substantially.
Something about a movie you can actually see just makes it, I don't know, better?
Steve, what madness is this? But yeah, predators are just a really fascinating idea for a species, because it kind of goes back to, I guess, this like primal fear in humanity. You see this a lot in stories throughout time, and I guess the most famous one would be The Greatest Game.
Right.
But there's often this idea of like either people being hunted. I know there's Greek myths where like Circe turns men into animals and then sets them free on the island, and like Odysseus's men hunt their own comrades down.
Yeah.
Like there's just this really primal thing about being hunted that is such a, like, just, it seems to be not universal, but it seems to be present in a lot of different cultures. And there's something very, very human, because even though humans are on the top of the food chain now, it's not because of our physical abilities. It
literalizes a lot of power dynamics where if you are able to survive being hunted, you somehow validate the fact that you are alive, you know?
Mm-hmm. And that was the whole thing in The Greatest Game. Like, I hate the movies because they never end it right. In all the movies, he, like, escapes the island or whatever. But in the story, he convinces the guy that he's been killed, and then he sneaks into the dude's mansion in the middle of the night, and, like, the guy wakes up before he can get too close to him, and he gets out of bed and pulls a knife and then throws another one to him and says, "It's a comfy bed. It's a nice, cool night. I bet it would feel great." And that's the last sentence before the final sentence of the story. It was the most comfortable sleep I ever had. So you're right. There is something very validating in the, like, it's both the high of surviving a near-death experience, and also connected with the feeling of accomplishment in a hunt, I guess. Because I don't know.
It's the same thing as horror movies, right? Like, why do we as a people like to watch other people be mercilessly murdered? Because on some level, we enjoy the fact that we aren't being murdered, and that adds value to the fact that we're just taking up space.
I guess. It's like particularly with the hunting and back to the predator itself with this idea of masculinity. I mean, when I have like a hard day of work and I'm like, moving heavy shit around, or like I remember when Haley and I were moving in and I was like building shit for the apartment that we bought. Like I built a bookcase, and that feels good once you finish that. It's that sense of accomplishment after doing something physical. And so like I can get a tiny bit of understanding of that high.
And then building an entire culture around nothing but that, like the United States, except maybe a little bit more extreme, and you get predators.
Yeah, definitely. And so it's just like, you can see this with the way they do the markings. Like that's a thing from a lot of cultures. Like, prove you're a man, you have to scar yourself. And God, that shit gets ridiculous. I remember watching a Taboo documentary in high school where they talked about male genital mutilation. I was like, oh, fucking God, no. Like that was one of the times I got so uncomfortable I had to like leave the room.
Well, it's just all about this notion of like, the degree of adversity you overcome is directly proportionate to the value you have as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, the more the predator handicaps themselves, the more the man scars himself or goes into impossible battle, the better the man or the better the predator for some arbitrary standard.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I was saying all throughout watching Star Trek, particularly Next Generation. Klingons and Predators would get along really well.
Yeah.
Like, that should be a thing. A Star Trek Predator crossover that's just a story about a Klingon ship being hunted. That could be absolutely fascinating. Because they're both that ridiculous honor culture.
It'd be really interesting, because, like, Klingons are vengeful as fuck. So, like, what if you had a story where Klingons were out doing who knows what, a predator came onto their ship, attacked them, did, like, a whole hunt thing, do a whole character arc about the whole fact that they're being hunted, and then at the end, the predator can't kill all of them, so, like, it either dies or leaves, but because of the challenge the predator presented, the Klingons decide that it would be dishonorable to hunt them down for doing what they do.
Or do the thing where it's like, kind of create the ending of Predator 2, wherein, the Klingon, like, beats the Predator and then all the others show up and give it a weapon, and just, like, juxtapose Klingonness with humanness, and have the Klingons start attacking the other Predators at that moment with the weapon that they gave him.
Yeah.
Because that just, like, kind of goes to the whole culture.
And now we're just pitching movies, but also it'd be really cool to get a reveal that long ago the Klingons and the Predators did run into each other once, and there is actually a Klingon living among the Predators as a Predator.
That'd be cool as shit.
Oh, I would love that. That'd be so cool.
Man, life is disappointing now that is not a thing.
I know, right? It seems so obvious now.
Right? I don't know. There's some other stuff. I mentioned that I just like that they are a culture of literal apex predators.
Yeah.
I mentioned that, but I just think that's a really neat idea, because I've always wondered what would happen if a carnivore developed sentience. And that's just, I don't know, that's a thought I've just had randomly, and that's pretty much them, so.
It's a good middle line between the sadistic movie monster and the random force of nature like Jaws.
Yeah, I agree. I will say this is just like a silly thing, but like we've done so much to play around with the idea that the alien is just a metaphor for a giant penis. With the Predator having the vagina mouth, I say the greatest way to mindfuck fans everywhere is to, like, show a Predator, win a hunt or whatever, and then fly back to its homeworld, and, like, walk in on just a big, gigantic, fat Predator sitting on a fire, and then pull out its dick and start riding it. and then retroactively make all the predators we've ever seen female.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
That would like mindfuck fans so hard.
Like, the metaphor would get so intricate to the point you'd lose it. I'd love it. What is this metaphor?
Exactly. It's just so twisted and everything, and it would just be for the jaw drop. And then like right as it starts doing that, and like it's building to a climax, that's when the movie title pops. Like Screen Goes Black movie title. That's where it starts. Fox, call me. We got this.
You need to be put in charge of the Predator franchise. We got this.
Yeah.
Although I am excited as fuck for Shane Black's new Predator movie.
Yeah, that does look like it'll be interesting.
Part of it is just Shane Black's never made a bad movie, so like if he's making a Predator movie, then by default, by both his standard and Predator's standard, it won't be bad.
True. I just hope that it's like got good casting. That is the one thing wrong with all the Predator movies after the first one, is bad casting.
Well, the cast he picked is fantastic, as all of the individual actors I like a lot, but they're very weird to throw together.
And that was kind of the problem with Predators to a certain extent. Like, Danny Trejo's definitely right at home, but like, Adrian Brody
not so much.
Weird pick for that movie. Like, he's definitely got it's undeniable he has a character arc and all this stuff happens, but it's like Adrian Brody with abs, and I don't know how to feel about that.
Adrian Brody played a character that would be more at home in the Predator universe when he was in, what's it called, Grand Budapest Hotel?
Yeah.
So it's weird that he doesn't just channel that into it, but I don't know, it's very weird.
Yeah, I feel like that the role Eric Foreman played should have gone to Adrian Brody, and then we should have had a more typical macho kind of actor in that.
Just throwing out some names, let me know what you think of this. These are the people in Shane Black's Predator movie. You have Thomas Jane, who I fucking love.
Okay, yes.
You have Keegan-Michael Key.
Cool.
You have Boyd Holbrook.
I don't know who that is.
He's the Donald Pierce in Logan.
Still haven't seen Logan.
Oh, okay. The blonde guy in the trailers.
With the robot hand?
Olivia Munn.
Okay.
I don't know why. Travis Rhodes, who's the guy from Moonlight.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sterling K. Brown, who I don't know who this is.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for it. Again, I don't think all the Predator movies are like great, but they're definitely much more watchable than half the Alien franchise.
I don't think any of the Predator movies count as great films. I just think, like, as you said, they're all fun to watch.
Yeah. What else can I say? Well, I guess let's just go ahead and go on to recommendations. So I highly recommend, if you have a PS2 still, go find yourself a copy of Predator Concrete Jungle. It's not, it's a little confusing as far as, what exactly you're supposed to do at a given time. They don't give you a ton of direction. So I'd say maybe get a game guide for it or find a walkthrough online. But otherwise, it's really worth it for the story, and it's just really naturally cool to play as the Predator. And then I'm reading a comic right now by Dark Horse called Predator Hunters, and that's really cool. So I'd recommend picking that up when it's in trade, or if you're listening to this the day it was posted, go pick up the first 2 issues. How about you, Steve? What would you recommend for Predator?
Seeing as I only watch the movies, I'm just going to say Predator and Predators. I like Predator too, but I those are of the 3 Predator movies. Those are my 2 favorites.
No, that's cool. I
like Predators more than most people, I think. I don't understand why that's not not necessarily loved, but not a more popular movie.
It's a number of things. There's the miscasting, and then there's just the fact that it's way too closely mirroring the first movie too many times. There's it gets to the point where there's so many references that it kind of breaks a threshold for a lot of people.
That's fair.
My thing is
Force Awakens style.
Yeah. Well, not even that, because it's not even replicating the same plot. It's just like there are so many callbacks that it gets distracting. My thing is just
they're my top 2 then, because then I'm basically picking the same movie twice.
Yeah, right. My thing is just don't watch the first Predator for like a couple months before you watch Predators, and you should be fine.
That's probably fair.
Okay. Steve, what are we going to be talking about next time?
All right. So now that I have realized that this is not limited to just comic book superheroes or comic book characters in general, I don't know where I got that ruling from, but it was in my head.
Matt and I did a video on Sonic the Hedgehog. I feel like
I didn't know it was part of this series.
It's just a character. Any video just about a character.
Okay, see now that restriction has been lifted, quote unquote restriction. I want to talk about Bugs Bunny.
Oh, sweet. Yes, please.
I love Bugs Bunny. I want to talk about him all day long.
Yeah, this will be a fun thing. We will do this.
Yeah, this is one of those characters that we both know a lot about, watched a lot of, and both like very much. So it'll be fun.
Yes, it will. Okay, everyone. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And join us next time for Bugs Bunny. Make sure to check out Geeky Gentleman every week. And please also remember, I've been forgetting to say it lately, but I've said it for like a year. You can download episodes of Geeky Gentleman. There's always a link in the description. All right. Bye, everyone. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I am the Exile.
And we are your Geeky Gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.